Mataji, shall I start with the pranam mantra?
Hare Krishna, Vaishnavi, you can start with the pranam mantra.
Yes, Mataji. ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपाय कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवास गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण।
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Narayan and Haripa, did you join?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Ma, you can start.
Namah Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai, Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram Jaya Krishna Balaram, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Hare Krishna. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes,
Mataji.
Mataji, you are audible.
Okay. Haripad and Narayan, thank you so much. I wanted our people to learn Vaishnava bhajan also. If you can volunteer to make them learn one bhajan per 1 week, it would be great help to me.
Like I did not understand how.
Any Vaishnava bhajan.
What should we do?
Should, I think if you tell next week which bhajan you're going to sing, so that we can share the same thing in the group. And on Saturday, you people can sing at the same time. Somebody make a note of it, and they can also sing along with you. So likewise, they will be exposed to the Vaishnava bhajans also.
Okay, Mataji. Next week, which song we are going to sing? I'll text you, Mataji.
Yeah, fine. I'll inform the same in the group. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you so much. God bless you, ma. Hare Krishna.
Thanks, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, welcome you all. How are you all? Weekend. We
Hare
are about
Krishna,
to
Mataji.
complete 13th chapter. I think only 5 more chapters are there to complete Bhagavad Gita course. Is it or not? So, isn't it interesting?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Mataji, so after the 5 chapters, level 2 is finished.
Yeah, you have to write exam, no? Level 2 is not finished. You have to write exam.
Which
Okay.
exam, Mataji? The quizzes or something else would be there?
I think there will be some examination type of not that whatever we have discussed,
Mataji, actually, like for the previous quizzes, I was not like I was somewhere in Delhi, ma'am, so I could not complete the previous quizzes.
No, that's very important, Ma. See, all these things is fine, but I think that is
Mataji,
the
but this like the one which you're talking about after 5 chapters, ma'am, I think I'll be able to attend that one.
yeah.
Mataji, I have also not done the quizzes. I just asked the query, but no one has replied me about the marks and how they will going to tell us how the answer will going to checked.
Yeah, I think we don't have Prajesh here. Prajesh in the group. Prajesh would be ideal to answer. Okay, I'll message Prajesh. Okay.
Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. We can start, Ma. Come on, who is going to start first?
Like once you are done with the one question, no, the correct answer is given below only, and it is graded as per the given answer. So prefer vedabase.io for that. Like there are reference verses also given there.
Yeah, I think
Mataji, if we have to give the exams, so first we should complete all the quizzes. Then only we are going to eligible for the exam.
the procedure will be same because some prerequisite should be there, no, to write an examination. They will ask whether you have completed quiz or not.
Okay, Mataji, then we'll going to complete all the quizzes then.
I think you have time, no? I think 5 more weeks for us to complete, almost a month. I think by February end we'll be completing
Yes,
the
Mataji.
chapters. Yeah. Meanwhile, you have enough time to complete the quiz. Hardly it'll take any time. Okay.
Okay, Mataji, we're going to complete.
Yeah. Come on. Who is going to read first?
माताजी
Yes.
ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिद् आत्मना अन्ये साङ्ख्येन योगेन कर्मयोगेन चापरे. Translation: Some perceive the Supersoul within themselves through meditation, others through the cultivation of knowledge, and still others through working without fruitful desires. Purport: The Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned soul can be divided into two classes as far as man's search for self-realization is concerned. Those who are atheists, agnostics, and escapists are beyond the sense of spiritual understanding. But there are others who are faithful in their understanding of spiritual life, and they are called introspective devotees, philosophers, and workers who have renounced fruitive results. Those who always try to establish the doctrine of monism are also counted among the atheists and agnostics. In other words, only the devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are best situated in the spiritual understanding, because they understand that beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is expanded as Paramatma. The Supersoul is everyone, the Supersoul in everyone, the all-pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the Supreme Supersoul in everyone, Supreme Absolute Truth by cultivation of knowledge, and they can be counted in this class of the faithful. The Sankhya philosopher analyzed this material world into 24 elements, and they place the individual soul as the 25th item. When they are able to understand the nature of individual soul to be transcendentalist to material. Can scroll up?
Sorry, I'm doing multiple things at a time. Sorry. Yeah, are you able to see it?
Up, Mataji.
Just a minute. Yeah. Is it visible?
No, Mataji.
Oh, I have scrolled up.
Okay, 1 minute.
I guess your screen would be freezed.
Yeah, somebody can continue meanwhile.
From material,
Mataji, can I read?
But Mataji, it's not visible. I think you need to scroll more.
No, this is all. See, this is the end of.
1 minute. Individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements. They are able to understand also that above the individual soul there is a supreme personality of Godhead. It is an the supreme personality of Godhead.
by childish activities.
No,
Where
Mataji.
are you? Sorry.
Supreme. I can see the supreme personality of Godhead. Individual soul there is. Afterwards, I'm not able to see.
Nobody else is
Yeah,
able to
there's
see.
supreme. Yeah, Mataji, I can see that. I'll going to.
Yeah.
Supreme personality of Godhead are best situated in spiritual understanding, because they understand the beyond this material nature are the spiritual world and the supreme personality of Godhead, who is expanded as the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone, the all pervading Godhead. Of course, there are those who try to understand the supreme absolute truth by cultivation knowledge, and they can be counted in the class of the faithful. The Sankhya philosopher analyzed this material world into 24 elements, and they place the individual soul as the 25th item. When they are able to understand the nature of the individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand also the above individual soul. There is supreme personality of Godhead. He is the 76th element. This gradually they also comes to the standard of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Those who work without fruitive result are also perfect in their attitude. They are given a chance to advance to the platform of devotional service in Krishna consciousness. Here it is stated that there are some people who are pure in consciousness, who are trying to find out the super soul by meditation, and when they discover the super soul within themselves, they become transcendently situated. Similarly, there are others who are trying to understand the supreme soul by cultivation of knowledge, and there are others who cultivate the Hatha Yoga system and trying to satisfy the supreme personality of Godhead by childish activities. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Sorry for some disturbance. So, some perceive the super soul within themselves through meditation. How somebody will perceive we have got a soul. Everybody has a soul within, but not everybody will realize that a super soul is existing as a soul inside a body. But only people who are there in the mode of a goodness can understand that, and they will try to reach that stage of purity by a meditation. Others through the cultivation of knowledge, that is by reading the scriptures and all, and still others through working without any fruitive desires. They work as a service towards the Lord. That's how they achieve. So the Lord informs Arjuna that the conditioned souls can be divided into two classes as far as a man's search for the self-realization is concerned. First group of the people are the one who are atheists, who don't believe in a God, agnostics, and skeptics. And these are beyond the sense of a spiritual understanding. They can't understand the knowledge about the Lord. There are others who are faithful in understanding the spiritual life. They know that there is a soul, there is a super soul, there is a soul, and we need to understand this. So they are called introspective devotees. That means they try to know there is something which in me which is always telling me, yes, I need to know about these, I need to read about these, I need to do chanting and all. So those are the inquisitive peoples. So hope you got it. Two types of devotees. So introspective devotees, philosophers, workers who have renounced the fruitive results. So those who always try to establish the doctrine of the monism are counted among the atheists and the agnostics. So those are impersonalistic. In other words, devotee of a supreme personality of the Godhead are best situated in a spiritual understanding because they have surrendered their whole life in the service of the Lord. So they don't want anything else except to know about the Lord, who is expanded Paramatma, super soul in everyone, all pervading Godhead. Yeah. And those who try to understand supreme personality of the Godhead by cultivation of knowledge, that is by reading the scriptures and all, they can be counted in the class of faithful people. And Sankhya philosophy, that means the people parallelly who go not the devotion service, they analyze material world into the 24 elements and they place the individual soul as a 25th item. So when they are able to understand the nature of individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they are able to understand that the individual soul, there is a supreme personality of the Godhead. So they take a longer thing to understand. First they go to the material nature, then they analyze, then they come back. So I can say in indirect way, whereas the Krishna consciousness is the direct way to know about the Lord. Here is the 26th element. They gradually, when they are able to understand the nature of individual soul to be transcendental to the material elements, they're able to understand that above individual soul, there is a supreme personality of the Godhead. And that they term it as a 26th element. They gradually also come to a standard of devotion service in Krishna consciousness, but they take a lengthier time. Okay. Yes, and people who work without any fruitive results are perfect in their attitude, and given chance, these people will advance in the platform of Krishna consciousness. And here it is stated there are some people who are pure in Krishna consciousness and who wanted to find out super soul by meditation. When they discover the super soul is within themselves, then they become transcendentally situated. Similarly, others also try to some try to do by meditation, some by the knowledge, and some by using the Hatha Yoga system, and who try to satisfy the supreme personality of the Godhead by childish activities. But all these things are ways. But I think in 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, we have learned that of all the yogas, Bhakti Yoga is the highest of all. So once you surrender onto the lotus feet of the Lord, you need not meditate, you need not read scriptures, you need not do any Ashtanga Yoga or anything like that. Hare Krishna. Yes, please continue.
Mataji, can you hear me?
Yes.
अन्ये त्वेवमजानन्ते अतः श्रुत्वान्येभ्य उपासते तेऽपि चातितरन्त्येव मृत्युं श्रुतिपरायणः. Translation. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Personality upon hearing about Him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. Purport. This verse is particularly applicable to modern society because in modern society there is practically no education in spiritual matter. Some of the people may appear to be atheistic or agnostic or philosophical, but actually there is no knowledge of philosophy. As for the common man, if he is a good soul, then there is a chance for advancement by hearing. This hearing process is very important. Lord Chaitanya, who preached Krishna consciousness in modern world, gave great stress to hearing, because if the common man simply hears from authoritative sources, he can progress, especially according to Lord Chaitanya. If he hears the transcendental vibration Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, it is stated therefore that all men should take advantage of hearing from realized souls and gradually become able to understand everything. The worship of the Supreme Lord will then undoubtedly take place. Lord Chaitanya has said that in this age, no one needs to change his position, but one should give up the endeavor to understand the absolute truth by speculative reasoning. One should learn to become the servant of those who are in knowledge of the Supreme Lord. If one is fortunate enough to take shelter of a pure devotee, hear from him about self realization and follow in his footsteps, one will be gradually elevated to the position of a pure devotee. In this verse, particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended, and this is very appropriate. Although the common man is often not as capable as so philosophers, faithful hearing from an authoritative person will help one to transcend this material existence and go back to Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, yeah, as you all know, modern society do not teach anything about the spiritual master matters. So, for to advance further in a bhakti, we need to take the shelter of the what do you say, spiritual master. So, he will guide us like how we can progress further in the bhakti. That's what is been as per Lord Chaitanya. So, if he hears the transcendental vibration of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, and automatically by hearing, the soul get cleansed inside and it will become more realized and it will understand the God. So if one is fortunate enough to take a shelter of a pure devotee, hearing about self-realization, follow his footsteps, one will gradually elevate to a position of a pure devotee. So this is very, very important. So in this verse particularly, the process of hearing is strongly recommended. If you can't do anything also, at least hearing the scriptures, authoritative scriptures under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master, it is recommended. So it is very appropriate, and so it will help us to go back to the Godhead, back to home. Hare Krishna. Next. Yes.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
यावत् सञ्जायते किञ्चित् सत्त्वं स्थावरजङ्गमं क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञसंयोगात् तद्विद्धि भरतर्षभ. Translation. O chief of the Bharatas, know that whatever you see in the existence, both the moving and non-moving, is only a combination of the field of activities and the knower of the field. Purport. Both material nature and the living entity, which were existing before the creation of the cosmos, are explained in this verse. Whatever is created is but a combination of the living entity and material nature. There are many manifestations like trees, mountains, and hills which are not moving, and there are many existences which are moving, and all of them are but combinations of the material nature and the superior nature, the living entity. Without the touch of the superior nature, the living entity, nothing can grow. The relationship between material nature and spiritual nature is eternally going on, and this combination is affected by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, He is the controller of both the superior and inferior natures. The material nature is created by Him, and the superior nature is placed in the material nature, and thus all these activities and manifestations take place. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, anything material is inferior energy because it is temporary. And anything which is spiritual is a superior energy which is created by the Lord, which is ever existing, everlasting. That is what is been explained here. Next. Yes.
Mataji, can I?
Yes.
Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinayash vinayasya tasva vinayasyant yah pashyati sa pashyati. Translation: one who sees the Supersoul accompanying the individual soul in all the bodies, and who understands that neither the soul nor the Supersoul within the destructible body is ever destroyed, actually sees. Purport: anyone who, by good association, can see three things combined together: the body, the proprietor of the body, and the individual soul, and the friend of the soul, individual soul, is actually in knowledge. Unless one has the association of a real knower of spiritual subjects, one cannot see these three things. Those who do not have such associations are ignorant. They simply see the body and they think that when the body is destroyed, everything is finished. But actually, it is not so. After the destruction of the body, both soul and the supersoul exist, and they go on eternally in many various moving and non moving forms. The Sanskrit word Parameshwara is sometimes translated as the individual soul, because the soul is the master of the body, and after the destruction of the body, he transfers to another form. In that way, he is master. But there are others who interpret this Parameshwara to be the super soul. In either cases, both super soul and the individual soul continue. They are not destroyed. One who can see in this way can actually see what is happening. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, there's three things whatever body we possess, and the owner of this body, and the soul which is there inside the body. So, these three, if they can combine it together, they can, by good association, these people, these can be combined and they know the details of it. The people who are actually a devotee of Krishna and who are in Krishna consciousness and who actually have a knowledge about it. Okay, and yeah, unless one has an association of real knower of a spiritual object, one cannot see these three things separately. See, anything happening to the body, we have been discussing the honor, dishonor, happiness, distress, everything is temporary. That is only to the body. But who is the ultimate proprietor of the body? Lord Krishna. And the soul, what does it happens when we are leaving the material body? Soul will go and get merged into the super soul. Of course, it will undergo the whatever the karma it has to go through. Ultimately, it will reach the super soul. And body will be discarded. Is it or not? So a learned person have this knowledge and he will go accordingly. But persons who are not having such an association, who don't have a knowledge about things, they are ignorant toward this. The body, the proprietor of the body, the individual soul, and the super soul, isn't it? So, after the destruction of the body, say, suppose if you remembered in 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna will say, Arjuna will ask to Lord Krishna, whom did you say this Bhagavad Gita before? Are you saying it to me only now? So, Lord Krishna will say, yes, I told to Vivasvan long back. Then Manu, then Ikshvaku, likewise. Somewhere the disciplinic succession got broken at the same time. That is the reason why I have to come here again to re-establish this connection. So that is the reason why again now I'm telling to you, Arjuna. Then Arjuna asked, if you anybody remembers this? Hare Krishna. Anybody remember?
I actually knew in 18 days course actually.
Yes, Mataji, it was told.
Yes, Mataji, it was told over there.
Yeah, what Arjuna will say?
Arjuna was saying to Krishna that this was the first time that you are telling to me only this thing. Have you ever told to anyone else also? And then the Krishna Bhagwan says, in the before times I've told to Manu and 2 3 people more, because they are the pure devotees, and I can found that in yourself only you are the pure soul.
So after that, then Arjuna will ask. What Arjuna will ask?
Mataji, Arjuna asked that how that you were born in this yuga, then how were you in that yuga? Telling
Yes.
Vivas 120 million years ago. So he
What
thought
will
that
Arjuna?
it was the material body of Krishna.
Yeah. So
Arjuna
then,
is very curious.
yeah. Then what Lord Krishna will say to Arjuna?
That his body is transcendental and that he
And also
existed
he
since the
told
time.
that everyone
Yeah.
is connected to me, and I'm the super soul.
Yeah, yeah. No, Arjuna will say, no. So how come you are present only this millennium? No, how come you are saying somewhere you told that? Why I'm not able to remember anything? So he will say no. Arjuna will say that. Then
Yes.
what Lord
Then
Krishna will
Krishna will
answer?
reply him that he remembers every janma of him, but Arjuna will not because he is a conditioned soul.
He is a not the transcendental body. It's a material body, is it or not?
Yes,
So
Mataji.
Lord Krishna will say, even you were there when I was telling this to Manu, Arjuna, but you are a material body. You don't remember anything, is it or not? So why I'm telling you this, soul and super soul go together, but the soul will not remember anything, because once that particular life is done, it will forget everything. Okay, but Parameshwara, the super soul who is there from the beginning till the end, he knows what is the past, present, as well as the future. So he can know anything. Okay, Hare Krishna. Come on, next.
Some
Mataji.
Yes, somebody can read.
Yeah, Mataji, I'm reading. Samam pashyam hi sarvatre samavashtanam te sarvam na hinaste atmanannam tato yati pranam gatim. Translation: one who sees the super soul equally present everywhere in every living being does not degrade himself by his mind, thus he approaches the transcendental destination purport. The living entity, by accepting his material existence, has become situated differently than in a spiritual existence. But if one understands that the Supreme is situated in his Paramatma manifestation everywhere, that is, if one can see the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living things, does not degrade himself by a descriptive mentality, and he therefore gradually advances to the spiritual world. The mind is generally addicted to sense gratifying processes, but when the mind turns to the super soul, one becomes advanced in spiritual understanding. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Any individual who realizes the super soul is everything, he is there everywhere, even the living and non living things and all. He will not degrade himself by material activities. So he will try to put Lord in every situation first and try to surrender all the activities to the Lord. So then automatically one become advanced in spiritual understanding. Next. Hare Krishna. Next.
Hare Krishna Mataji, am I audible
Yes, you are audible.
properly?
Yes.
Okay. प्रकृतैव च कर्माणि क्रियमाणानि सर्वशः यः पश्यति तत्मानम् अकृतरं स पश्यति. Translation. हाँ जी.
Yes.
अकृतारं स पश्यति. Translation: one who can see that all activities are performed by the body, which is created of material nature, and sees that the self does nothing, actually sees. Purport: this body is made by material nature under the direction of the Supersoul, and whatever activities are going on in respect to one's body are not his doing. Whatever one is supposed to do, either for happiness or for distress, one is forced to do because of the bodily constitution. The self, however, is outside all these bodily activities. This body is given according to one's past desires. To fulfill desires, one is given the body, with which he acts accordingly. Practically speaking, the body is a machine designed by the Supreme Lord to fulfill desires. Because of desires, one is put into difficult circumstances to suffer or to enjoy. This transcendental vision of the living entity, when developed, makes one separate from bodily activities. One who has such a vision is an actual seer. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. See, whatever body we are getting, if we got a human body, we have a consciousness. If we are in a body of a dog, our activities are different. If you are in a body of a hog, this we have discussed previously in our previous lokas and all. So similarly, whatever the body we get it is purely depending on our past karma. So, and whatever situation we are there, whether to suffer or to enjoy, it's because of the past karma. And this transcendental vision, if any living entity is having, it's which can make him separate from the bodily activities. So again, he is on a right path. Then automatically he will. There are certain animals also who got a renunciated, like Gajendra Moksha, you can say. And there are few examples in the past which got liberated. So whatever body we got, if we have that, again, that is also Krishna's mercy, that if we are able to recollect our past deed and past karma and we are able to overcome that. I think Jadabharta story also, he got the body of a deer and all. So likewise, if you are able to remember that, then once you realize that whatever body you're getting, you have to renounce this, then that is the actual way by which we can practice the bhakti and follow the path of spirituality. Next. Yes, Hare Krishna. Next.
Yeah, Mataji, I need help in this shloka.
Yeah, Vaishnavi, are you there?
Yes, Mataji, I'm there.
Yeah, please help Prabhuji. No?
Yadha bhuta
Yata bhuta
pratak bhavam
pratak bhavam
ekastham
ekastham
anupashyati
anupashyati
tata eva cha vistaram
tate eva cha vistaram
brahma sampadyate tada.
brahma sampadetada. Translation. When a sensible man ceases to see different identities due to different material bodies and he sees how beings are expanded everywhere, he attains to the Brahman conception. When one can see the various bodies of living entities arise due to different desires of the individual soul and do not actually belong to the soul itself, one actually sees in the material conception of life. We find someone a demigod, someone a human being, a dog, a cat, etc. This is material vision, not actual vision. This material differentiation is due to a material conception of life. After the destruction of the material body, the spirit soul is one. The spirit soul, due to contact with material nature, gets different type of bodies. When one can see this, he attains spiritual vision. Thus, being freed from differentiations like man, animal, big and low, etc., one becomes purified in his consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. How he then sees things will be explained in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
And this, I think, I can give an example of Jadabharata. Okay. Once a person has a spiritual vision, he can differentiate. He is free from the differentiation like man, animal, whatever it is. Okay. So then he become purified in consciousness and able to develop Krishna consciousness in his spiritual identity. Hare Krishna. Next, who wanted to read this?
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah. Yes.
Anaditvam nirgunatattvat paramatmayam avyayaha sharirastopi kaunteya na karoti na lipyate. Translation. Those with the vision of eternal eternity can see the imperishable soul is transcendental, external, and beyond the modes of nature. Despite contact with the material body, O Arjuna, the supersoul neither does anything nor is entangled. Purport. A living entity appears to be born because of the birth of the material body, but actually the living entity is eternal. He is not born, and in spite of his being situated in the material body, he is transcendental and eternal. Thus he cannot be destroyed. By nature he is full of bliss. He does not engage himself in any material activities, therefore the activities performed due to his contact with material bodies do not entangle him. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. See, a previous verse we have described, I think previous verse where say the super soul and soul, they coexist. So when a realized person, a person who is there in Krishna consciousness realize that he is not bothered about the activities of the body. Why? Because this may perish, but the soul is constantly running parallelly along with the super soul. So that's so he's not entangled in this material world. Next. Yeah, somebody please volunteer to read.
Mataji, can I?
Yes.
Yatha sarvagatam saknat akasam nan rupolyate sarvatra dehe tatmanopaliyate. Translation: the sky, due to its subtle nature, does not mix with anything, although it is all pervading. Similarly, the soul situated in Brahman vision does not mix with the body, though situated in that body. Purport: the air enters into water, mud, stool, and whatever else is there. Still, it does not mix with anything. Similarly, the living entity, although even though situated in varieties of bodies, is aloof from them due to his subtle nature. Therefore, it is impossible to see with the material eyes how the living entity is in contact with his body and how he is out of it after the destruction of the body. No one in science can ascertain.
Yeah, that is true. No, what afterlife and all, nobody knows about it. And at the same time, once we come, all the Panchabhuta, when it comes in contact with the material body, it will be something actually. When it enters the water, it's different. When it enters the mud, it is different. When it enters the stool, it is different. Whatever else is there, still it does not mix with anything. Air will remain the air. Though it will come in contact with a different type of material body. Similarly, the living entity, that is the Jivatma, we are there. Thou situated in varieties of the body, maybe a dog, hog, pig, and snake, or elephant, or a human being, or whatever it is aloof from his subtle nature, because ultimately this soul has to go and join the super soul. So therefore it is impossible to see the materialize how living entity is in contact with the body, and if he is out of it after the destruction of the body. So no science knows about it, but the only thing is that if we are fortunate enough that if we have realized when we are there in this one particular body, then we can take our steps accordingly to progress further in a Krishna consciousness. Yeah. Next.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Yatha prakashyate ekaha kritasnam lokamimam kshetram kshetri tatha kritasnam prakashyati bharata. Translation: Ocean of Bharata, as the sun alone illuminates all this universe, so does the living entity, one within the body, illuminate the entire body by consciousness. Purport: there are various theories regarding consciousness. Here in Bhagavad Gita, the example of the sun and the sunshine is given. As the sun is situated in one place but is illuminating the whole universe, So a small particle of spirit soul, although situated in the heart of this body, is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Thus, consciousness is the proof of the presence of the soul. As sunshine or light is the proof of the presence of the sun, when the soul is present in the body, there is consciousness all over the body. And as soon as the soul has passed from the body, there is no more consciousness. This can be easily understood by any intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is not a product of the combinations of matter. It is the symptom of the living entity. The consciousness of the living entity, although quantitatively one with the supreme consciousness, is not supreme because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of another body. But the super soul, which is situated in all bodies as the friend of the individual soul, is conscious of all bodies. That is the difference between supreme consciousness and individual consciousness. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, as sun situated at one place, but it is giving the illumination to the whole universe. Similarly, the soul which is there within the heart of individual body is illuminating the whole body by consciousness. Okay, so this consciousness is a proof of the presence of the soul within our body, is it or not? And it will give you a light. We have been discussing in the past slokas also, which will help you, guide you. Your inner intuition will guide you. You read this, you do the japa, you don't do this, and all those things. Anything wrong happen also, it will constantly tell you that this is what is not right on your part and all. Okay, so this can be easily understood by an intelligent man. Therefore, consciousness is a product of any combination of matter. Actually, it is a symptom that is we are a living entity. The consciousness of living entity, although qualitatively one with a supreme consciousness, it is not supreme. Now it's a part and parcel. It is a gift given by a God, a conscious which is there within. But it is not the supreme, because the consciousness of one particular body does not share that of the another body. Okay, and but the super soul, who is present in all these bodies as a friend of individual soul, is conscious of all this body. He knows that this individual souls are having different, and everybody has got a different this thing. I can say you like a raw material is been given to individual people. So how they are going to make out of it, that is totally different from one person to another person. So that is the difference between the supreme consciousness and the individual consciousness. So suppose so 10 of us or 11 of us are attending the class now. So everybody will not take the same matter inside the brain, is it or not? Some may perceive it completely different way, some may perceive it half, some may not be able to perceive it partially also. So that similarly the consciousness which is there in individual soul, it has to take an individual effort to identify the super soul which has made us this. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Mataji, I do have one question. If the super soul is present in everywhere in everyone's body, then also why people are much more engaged in this materialistic world or in illusion?
See, we have given, that's what I tell you, we are given only raw material. You know, our diamonds are found in a coal mines, you know. We need to find out that how much effort is required to get a diamond from the coal. It has to be heated at a very high temperatures. A certain polishing has to be done. Certain thing has to be done. A certain work has to be done to get a diamonds or not. You know. So similarly, a raw material is given to us. So fortunate enough, if we are able to understand the Krishna consciousness, we are all fortunate enough one way, you know. If you see our contemporaries who are just wasting the time in the weekends by watching movies or doing some time pass, but they are not reading Gita like us, is it or not? So this is one example that create a consciousness. Similarly, that raw material is there in everyone, even it is there with our friends, with us also. But we are fortunate enough by the mercy of Lord Krishna that he has showing the vision from our inner soul. That you please read about me and try to learn about me. It is best way to make your life. The same light will not be shown to our contemporary friends and all, because a thick layer of Maya is engulfing them. So it needs some efforts for them. Once that effort come only, Krishna will show his mercy. Got it?
Mataji, it means that raw material is there. Rest all depends on us that how that we want to become a valuable product or not.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Mataji.
Yeah. This is the last sloka for today. Please
Can I,
read.
Mataji?
Yes.
क्षेत्रक्षेत्रज्ञयोर् एवम् अन्तरं ज्ञानचक्षुष भूता प्रकृतिमोक्षं च ये विदुर्यन्ति ते परम्. Translation: those who see with eyes of knowledge the difference between the body and the knower of the body, and can also understand the process of liberation from bondage in the material nature, attain to the supreme goal. Purport: the purport of the 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between body, the knower of the body, and the supersoul. One should recognize the process of liberation as described in verse 8 through 12. Then one can go on to the supreme destination. A faithful person should at first have some good association to hear of God and thus gradually become enlightened. If one accepts a spiritual master, one can learn to distinguish between matter and spirit, and that becomes the stepping stone for further spiritual realization. A spiritual master, by various instructions, teaches his student to get free from the material concept of life. For instance, in Bhagwat Gita, we find Krishna instructing Arjuna to free him from materialistic considerations. One can understand that this body is matter. It can be analyzed with its 24 elements. The body is the gross manifestation, and the subtle manifestation is the mind and the psychological effects. And the symptoms of life are the interactions of these features. But over and above this, there is a soul, and there is also a super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. This material world is working by the conjunction of the soul and the 24 material elements. One who can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation as this combination of soul and material elements, and can also see the situation of the supreme soul, becomes eligible for transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of a spiritual master. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita in the matter of nature the enjoyer and the consciousness. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is the end. Because the gist of 13th chapter is that one should know the distinction between the body, the owner of the body, Lord Krishna, and the super soul, that is the ultimate Paramatma. So, and you should also recognize the process of liberation. So, how a devotee will engage himself in the process of liberation. And you should always have a good association to hear of the God, and gradually you'll become enlightened. And for that you need to take a shelter of a spiritual master who knows, who can distinguish between the matter as well as the spirit, and becomes a stepping stone for further spiritual realization. And what does he do? The spiritual master, by various instruction, teaches his student to get free from this material concept of a life. For instance, in this we can take an example of Arjuna, where Lord Krishna is instructing Arjuna to get free from the material consideration. So one can understand this body is a matter. It can be analyzed into the 24 elements which we have discussed in the chapter. The body is the gross manifestation. The subtle manifestation is the mind, intelligence, and a false ego. Okay. So here is the mind and the psychological effect. The symptoms of life are the interaction of these elements, the gross as well as the subtle elements. And over and above this, there is a soul, Okay, if you remember that picture where the soul, then the subtle body, and the gross body. Okay, and above this, there is also super soul. The soul and the super soul are two. And this material world is working by conjunction of the soul as well as the 24 elements which are there in the gross body. And one can see the constitution of the whole material manifestation by combination of the soul, the material elements. So, and one can also see the situation Supreme Soul becomes eligible. So this is the normal thing. The gross body contains of 24 elements, and the subtle body is interacting with these by the mind and the mind intelligence and the false ego, and the soul, it is getting combined with this, and it is uh, um, proceeding further as a living entity. But if this soul with all these elements, if it realizes that there is furthermore a super soul which is showing the light for my life to progress further in the bhakti, so then this person will become eligible to transfer to the spiritual world, because there his journey begins. In the previous words, we have discussed about the two types of devotee: one who is the atheist, agnostic, and who don't believe in a god. Second person is who is inquisitive to know about the Lord. Such a person, when he has inquisitiveness to know about the Lord, then he is the most eligible person to transfer to the spiritual world. These things are meant for contemplation and for realization, and one should have a complete understanding of this chapter with the help of a spiritual master. So this ends the 13th chapter. Hare Krishna, Hari Bol. We have completed 13th chapter successfully. Any questions?
No, Mataji, no questions.
Nice, no? I really felt very nice. Small chapters. I think 3 days is, I'm okay. We are reading stress free.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Mataji,
we
we
have
read early.
Bhagavatam story? What do you say? We have a time?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, I think Srimad Bhagavatam. What we will read, the Samam Bonam. Yeah. We will read about birth of Lord Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Can I read?
Can I read?
Yeah. One by one. One can
Mataji,
read.
I'll start.
Yeah.
Mataji.
Can you scroll down?
Yes.
Mataji, may I read?
The birth
Yeah,
of Lord Krishna.
one can read one paragraph.
Okay.
Okay.
The birth of Lord Krishna. As described in this chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, Hari, in his original form, appeared as Vishnu so that his father and mother could understand that their son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because they were afraid of Kamsa, when the Lord appeared as an ordinary child, they took him to Gokula, the home of Nanda Maharaj.
Next, somebody can read.
Mataji, can I read?
Yes.
Mother Devaki, being fully transcendental, Sakit Andana, does not belong to this material world. That the Supreme Personality of Godhead appeared with four and had us born from her womb. Upon seeing the Lord in that Vishnu form, Vasudeva was struck with wonder. And in transcendental happiness, he and Devaki mentally gave 10,000 cows in charity to the Brahmanas. Vasudeva then offered prayer to the Lord, addressing him as the Supreme Person, uh, Brahman, the Super Soul, who was beyond duality and who was internally and externally all pervading. The Lord, the cause of all causes, is beyond material existence, although he is the creator of this material world. When he entered this world as Brahmatma, he is all pervading, yet he is transcendentally situated. For the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this material world, the Lord appears as the Guna Avatara, Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara. Thus, Vasudeva offered prayers full of meaning to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Devaki followed her husband by offering prayers describing the transcendental nature of the Lord, fearing Kamsa and desiring that the Lord would not be understood by aesthetic and materialistic non-devotees. She prayed that the Lord withdraw his transcendental four-armed form and appear like an ordinary child with two hands.
Hare Krishna. Sanchita, you can read next.
Mataji, from the Lord reminded Vasudeva and Devaki of two other incarnations in which he had appeared as their son. He had appeared as the Vrishni Garbha and Vamana Deva, and now this was the third time he was appearing as a son of Devaki to fulfill their desire. The Lord then decided to leave the residence of Vasudeva and Devaki in the prison house of Kamsa, and at this very time Yogamaya took birth as a daughter of Yashoda. By the arrangement of Yogamaya, Vasudeva was able to leave the prison house and save the child from the hands of Kamsa. When Vasudeva brought Krishna to the house of Nanda Maharaja, he saw that by Yogamaya's arrangement, Yashoda as well as everyone else was deeply asleep. Then, thus he exchanged the babies, taking Yogamaya from Yashoda's lap and placing Krishna there instead. Then Vasudeva returned to his own place. Having then taken Yogamaya as his daughter, he placed Yogamaya on Devaki's bed and prepared to be a prisoner as before. In Gokula, Yashoda could not understand whether she had given birth to a male or a female child. But Mataji had one doubt, but how did Shubhadra come? In Mahabharata as Krishna's sister, how did Krishna find his sister Subhadra?
See, she is the daughter of Rohini Mataji. Nanda Maharaj will have, I think, Rohini Mataji's daughter is Subhadra.
Okay.
She
So
is
she
the
has two
wife of
children, Baladeva and
Vasudeva.
Subhadra, no?
Yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the birth of Krishna, isn't it beautiful? How he appeared and mentally these people, Devaki Vasudeva, they gave 10,000 cows in charity to Brahmanas. Vasudeva offered prayer to the Lord, and Lord appeared in a four-handed Narayana form. Okay. And of course, somewhere, because all the seven sons who were born before, they were killed by Kamsa, and these poor people, they were fearing that Kamsa again, they may hurt or trouble the Krishna. So now Devaki is just praying to Lord Krishna to withdraw the four-handed transcendental form and appear like a ordinary child with two hands. And the Lord reminded Vasudeva and Devaki of the two other incarnation where he appeared as their.
Actually, I think the husband and the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they both are the same. Because like Vishnu Ji is also known as Vasudeva.
No. Totally different. No, you misunderstood, ma. Hare Krishna. Yeah, and he is so here Lord is saying to Vasudeva and Devaki that he appeared as a son in the Krishna Garbha as well as a Vamana Deva. Okay, now this is again the third time he is appearing as a son of Devaki and Vasudeva to fulfill the desire to kill Kamsa. Okay, and this time Yogamaya will take birth at the place of Yashoda Maya, and by the arrangement of Yogamaya, Vasudeva will leave the prisons, as you all know how the story goes, and he will save the child from the hands of Kamsa, and Vasudeva will go to the Nanda Maharaj place and exchange Lord Krishna in place of Yogamaya, and he'll come back. And in Gokula, Yashoda, she's not, everybody is in a deep sleep when this is happening, that is hypnotism by Krishna, when everything has to, for good, for establishment of dharma, something is happening, then everybody.
I have one more doubt.
So just a minute. So Yashoda is not in a stage whether she has given a birth to a male or a female child. Yes, Ma, you can say.
Mataji, my doubt is that like when Krishna ji was born, like he saw that that Vasudeva and Devaki, they are his mother and father. Like in the material world, like they are his mother and father. So Mataji, later in the Mahabharata, when Krishna ji grows up and then like he frees Devaki and Vasudeva, then like he did not like then Devaki and Vasudeva said that we are your real parents and all. And then like Krishna ji could not believe it. Mataji, why? Like
See, for material bodies, some amount of karma is there, whether they are parents or somebody else or demigods. We have to undergo that karma. There is because they are entitled to.
Krishna ji was like he was already like he was God actually. So
Yeah, but whatever, see, he can't help anybody. Let it be parents or a devotee, Everybody has to undergo the karma as per the body. See, we have discussed in 13th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, whatever body we are possessing, it is as per the past karma. Say, suppose if we get a body of a human also, some amount of karma is always there. So that everybody has to undergo. And Krishna will take care of that. We need not worry about it. So he need not, it doesn't mean that they are parents and he has to free them from all the karma. That does not go, Everybody has to undergo their part, cycle of karma. Okay? Yeah. Yes. Somebody please volunteer to read this.
Yeah, Mataji. The
Mataji,
atrocities
Hare
of
Krishna, I had a doubt before.
Yes.
It is said that Yashoda Maya did not know whether she birthed a female child or a male child, but generally it's seen that even in ancient times, whenever a woman was pregnant and she was under labor, there were other ladies as well in the room with the pregnant lady that is giving birth. So wouldn't they have seen if the boy, if she has birthed
Krishna created
the
magic.
boy or female?
No. Krishna created magic, So everybody's memory is erased for that period of time. That is a yoga maya. That's what
Okay, ma'am.
it was also written
Maya's
that
effect.
everybody was in deep sleep.
Not deep sleep. Everybody were awake, but for a short span, everybody's memory is erased. Hare Krishna.
Mataji, everyone get paused at that moment.
Yes, exactly.
The atrocities of King Kamsa. The chapter describes how Kans, following the advice of his demonic friends, considered the persecution of small children to be very diplomatic. After Vasudeva bound himself with iron shackles as before, all the doors of the prison house closed by the influence of the Yogmaya. When they began crying as a newborn child, the crying awakened the doorkeepers, who immediately informed Kamsa that a child has been born to Devaki. Upon hearing this news, Kamsa appeared with great force in the maternity room, and in spite of Devaki plea and the child be saved, the demon forcibly snatched the child from the Devaki hands and dashed the child against a rock. Unfortunately, the Kamsa, however, the newborn child slipped away from his hands, rose above his head, and appeared as the eighth arm form of Durga. Durga then told Kamsa, the enemy you contemplate has taken birth somewhere else. Therefore, your plan to prosecute all the children will prove futile.
Mataji, can I continue?
Yes.
According to the prophecy, the eighth child of Devaki would kill Kamsa. And therefore, when Kamsa saw that the eighth child was a female and heard that his so-called enemy has taken birth elsewhere, he was struck with wonder. He decided to release Devaki and Vasudeva, and he admitted before them the wrongness of his atrocities. Falling at the feet of Devaki and Vasudeva, he begged their pardon and tried to convince them that because the events that had taken place were destined to happen, they should not be unhappy for his having killed so many of their child. Devaki and Vasudeva Being naturally very pious, immediately excused Kamsa from his atrocities, and Kamsa, after seeing that his sister and brother-in-law were happy, returned to his home. After the night passed, however,
Yeah, somebody
Kamsa,
else will read Ma. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna.
Marcus.
Yes. Deepak, you can read.
After the night passed, however, Kamsa called for his ministers and informed them of all that had happened. The ministers, who were all demons, advised Kamsa that because his enemy had already taken birth somewhere else, all the children born within the past 10 days in the village within Kamsa's kingdom should be killed. Although the demigods always feared Kamsa, they should not be treated len- leniently
Lenient.
since leniently since they were enemies. Kamsa should try his best to uproot their existence. The demonic ministers further advised that Kamsa and the demons continue their enmity towards Vishnu because Vishnu is the original person among all the demigods. The Brahmas, the cows, the Vedas, austerity, truthfulness, control of the senses and mind, faithfulness and mercy are among the different parts of the body of Vishnu, who is the origin of all the demigods, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva. Therefore, the ministers advised the demigods, the saintly persons, the cows, and the Brahmans should be systematically persecuted. Strongly advised in this way by his friends, the demonic ministers, Kamsa approved of their instruction and considered it beneficial to be envious of the Brahmans. Following, following Kamsa's order, therefore the demons began committing their atrocities all over Vrishya, Vrishjabhumi. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So, so the atrocities of King Kamsa, actually Lord Krishna appeared to, one of the purpose of his appearance is to put an end to the atrocities of King Kamsa. So when Vasudeva was born, somebody was asking, why can't he free the parents? I think you got the answer in this. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. So, they will be relieved, and when he come to know about the childbirth, Kamsa will come, and when he try to snatch the child away from the Devaki's hand and dash the child against the rock, as he did for the previous 7 child. So the newborn child slip away and comes and raise above his head and appears as a 8-handed form of Durga, and she will say, the person who is going to kill you is already born somewhere else. So she'll put a bomb in Kamsa's
Mataji, but Krishna ji was born in the prison only.
but it's all yoga maya, if we tell him that you fooled you, everybody's fooled here, and he's born here, he got escaped from here, means again his rage, he will not release Devaki Vasudeva, somewhere they have to play tricky, smart way they have to answer, is it or not?
Mataji.
Mataji,
Yes.
we have heard that there was a Akashvadi which says that the eighth son of Vasudeva will going to kill the Krishna. Is it true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So now the eighth child will kill Kamsa, and he somewhere he is already there. Then he will realize that now it's of no use of making them as a prisoners, and he will fall at the feet and beg for the pardon, and he will relieve them. So, and Devaki Vasudeva, now he did so many atrocities against them, and only they are very pious in nature. They have excused Kamsa for their atrocities because Krishna will take care of him. So, and they were happy, they have come back home. Okay. And after that night has passed, Kamsa has called for his minister and inform all that which has happened there. And he says, yes, his enemy has taken, but somewhere else he has to take believe what his sister has told him. And the child was born. Please make a search of the nearby villages in the past 10 days, so that Kamsa will kill that child. Although the demigods always feared Kamsa, they should not be treated leniently since they were enemies. So he is trying to best his to uproot the cause of his what do you say, the existence. Say suppose if the child is there, definitely is going to kill. So his mind is always thinking about Krishna in a negative way. So the demonic ministers, they would have advised, no, okay, wherever he is there, you don't think about him. But further, they are advising Kamsa to continue their enmity towards Vishnu, because Vishnu is the original person among the demigods. So the Brahmanas, cows, Veda, austerities, truthfulness, control of the senses of mind, faithfulness, and mercy among the other different parts of the body of the Vishnu, who is the origin of all demigods, including Brahma and Shiva. So therefore, the minister advised the demigods, the saintly persons, all these people will be systematically persecuted, strongly advised in this way by his friends. So he approves his instructions and he thinks maybe it is beneficial, it will benefit the Brahmanas. So following Kamsa's orders, the demons who are there in a city will start committing atrocities all over the Vrajabhumi. So is it enough for today, or shall we have one more?
Yeah, Mataji, it's enough.
Yeah,
Enough, Mataji.
nice, no? Krishna's birth and atrocity of Kamsa. Next week we will continue. So many Krishna Leelas will be there.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah. Any doubts?
No, Mataji, no doubts.
So more than Bhagavad Gita, I feel very happy when I read Bhagavatam, I don't know. Their stories make me feel good. So
Yes,
happy.
Mataji, it's true. The
Yeah,
stories make us like we think that we are into the story as some character or so, and
yeah.
it makes us happy.
Yes, yes.
At
Okay,
in
we'll come.
starting, we were not used to, but we are now used to reading it. We love to read each and every session. I used to wait for a moment when Mataji will going to come and teach us session.
Yeah. So everything I feel good actually. And one more thing, because only five more chapters are left. What do you say about because these chapters are very small chapters. Can we put 15 minutes of sloka recitation exercises from next week onwards? What do you say?
Yes, Mataji.
Vaishnavi is there, no? Anyhow, we'll take her help so that most of you are reciting very well, but I want that fine tuning also. Okay.
Yes, Mataji.
So next week onwards, I think 10 to 15 minutes after Narayan and Haripad Bhajan, we can. So that is also one way good, no? At least a few bhajans we are exposed to right now. So coming weeks we will get exposed to even more bhajans, so that sloka recitations, bhajans recitation, and Bhagavatam stories and Bhagavad Gita. This is enough for level 2, is it or not?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah,
Mataji, what will we do in level 3?
it will come. Wait. Yeah.
Mataji,
Hare.
please share the
Mataji
quiz.
Mataji,
Yes.
actually now, now April is also coming, we're going to go to a new class. Like I'm going to go to class 8.
Very nice. Yes,
And
Vaibhav, you
I'm
are
going
saying.
to level 3 also, so now everything new.
Yeah.
Mataji,
Vaibhav, you are
please
saying.
share the quiz.
Actually, she was there. Rachita joined. Actually, she has completed all the quiz. She's the ideal person to answer about it.
Mataji, I
There
have
Uh,
was a,
also completed
there
all
was
the.
a timing in WhatsApp group. Now everything has been removed.
yeah, I think
Prabhuji,
my.
you do one thing. You
Uh-huh.
just go on Google and type ISKCON Mangaluru. The site will open, and in the home page there are options of. Uh,
Aishnavi, you sent me I think you have sent me a hello message. No, I didn't save your number. You send me again. I'll make you group admin. Okay, so that you can share it in the groups.
yes, Mataji.
Required instruction you can share. Okay, that would be better. Okay, Hare
I'll just send
Krishna.
you a hi.
Yeah, yeah. Hare Krishna. We'll end session by Narsimharti, who is going to sing for today.
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladadayine. हिरण्याकाशे पूर्वक्षः शिलाटङ्का नखालाय इतो नरसिंहा परतो नरसिंहा यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहा बहिर्नरसिंहा हृदये नरसिंहा नरसिंहमुदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गं दालिता हिरण्यकशिपुतनुभृङ्गम् केशवधृता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव 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 जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद हरे कृष्ण माता जी
हरे कृष्णा वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. Thank you co-host and participant for your active participation. See you all next week on Friday 8 p.m. Hare Krishna.